Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Bit by BTech YouTube channel. So here I come with another Python project that is hospital management. So before we get into the coding part, let me just show you the overview of the flowchart that how it will work. So for the first one, we will start and it will connect to database and it will show the menu, right? That is, if the representative wants to register, log vitals, or add prescription. After that, based on the user choice, we will perform the functions accordingly. And after that, we will close the database and it will end. Now, in the second flowchart, it is for the doctor or the nurse. So we will start by connecting the database. Then we will scan the QR code that will be given to the user, or better to say the patient, while they will register. So individual patient will have a individual scanner or QR code, and from that, by scanning that actually, we can get the patient ID. If it is a existing user or existing patient in our database, we will generate the PDF and it will auto open. And the best part is the PDF will contain the patient medical history. And if it is not, that means patient doesn't exist. We will show that to the representative person. Now let us just take a look in the database that we have used, that is hospital DB. And inside hospital DB we have three tables, that is patient master, vitals log, and prescription table. So the patient master table will store all the patient details. Vitals log will store the vitals details of the patient, and the prescription will store the prescription of for his patient. The thing that to note is that the patient ID, which is the primary key in the patient master table, is the foreign key for the other two tables, that is vital log and the prescription table. So now all of these three tables are being connected with each other, and there is no chance of data leakage. So now we are just getting into the main code flow of our Python, that is main.py. First, we are importing hospital DB from database manager. This will be used to connect with our database, that is our MySQL database, where all of our data are being stored. After that, we are just importing scan QR function from the QR scanner class to scan the respective QRs for respective patient. And then we will import the generate patient PDF function from PDF generator class to generate the bill in a PDF format. Now the main code flow will start from calling the start system calling or start system function calling. Once it's been called, the hospital DB will create an instance of the database. That is, a new connection to the database will be created. Once it has been created, we will start scanning the patient QR with the scan QR function. Once we able to get the patient ID, we will try to retrieve the patient information from our patient details table using the patient ID that we retrieved from the QR, right? And we stored the information, that is the patient information, in the patient info variable. And after that, using the patient ID, we will also try to find out the vitals history of the particular patient, and we'll store that in the vitals history variable. Now we will check that if we got the patient info, that means if it is, that means if the if statement is true, that means there is a registered patient with the particular patient ID, right? So in that case, we will create the PDF or generate the PDF using the patient info and the vitals history. Otherwise, we will show that the patient ID is not recognizable. Hence, this is not an registered patient. So please register the patient before proceeding with the bill generation. Now we are inside the keyword file. Here we are using the CV2 module of Python to record the keyword scanner and to scan the keyword from the particular patient and to generate the keyword ID. so that we can retrieve data based on the QR ID and retrieve the vitals log based on the QR ID. The QR ID is particularly the patient ID that has been registered in our database. Now we are inside the database manager.py file, inside which we are importing mysql.connector, through which we are connecting with MySQL and Python. Now we are just creating an class of hospital DB inside which we have all the details for our database, and to create the connection, this will help us. Now here we have all of our create function that will be used in this project. Like using register patient function, we will able to register a particular patient, that is a new patient, and using add vitals function, we will be able to store all the vitals for the particular patient, and using add prescription function, we will be able to add the prescription details for a particular patient. Here we are using simple MySQL insert statement to create or generate the data inside our database. Now here we have all of our get function, like get patient record to retrieve the data or the patient data from our database. Get patient by phone, that is like phone is also a unique key in our database. So using phone number also we can get the patient data from our database. And get vitals history, that will be used to retrieve the vital history of the patient based on the patient ID. Now using the generate new PID or generate new patient ID, we can create the new patient ID based on the total number of records or total number of patients we have it in our database. So first we will calculate the total number of patients we have in our database right now. For example, it is 3, and then we will add 1 with the total number of patients we have in our database. So for example, we have had 3, and if we add plus 1, that will be 4. So next patient number will be 4. So that's the case. Now we are seeing the add patient UI.py file, inside which we were importing hospital DB class from the database manager file. And first we are declaring two function, that is get int input and get float input, just to check the data types during the input we are getting. So if the input is in int, we will check through get int input, and if it is float, it will be checked with get float input. Now, add patient UI.py file is the interface for the receptionist actually. So we will give a menu to him or her, and based on their inputs, like if the new patient need to get registered, then need to press 1. To log vitals, need to press 2. For adding the prescription, need to press 3, and to exit from the system, need to press 4. And based on the inputs, we will take the necessary actions. Now once the receptionist press 1, that means it is needed to register a new patient. Should To do that, we will call the function take details. And with the take details, we will take the contact first of the patient, and then we will check, as the contact is an unique key in our database. So we will check that if the patient is already exist in our database. If it is, then we will flag it as duplicate. Otherwise, we will take the name, date of birth, blood group, allergies, and all other details that is needed. And then we will create a new patient ID using the generate new PID function, and then we will register the patient. If you see, you will be able to find that when we are calling the log vitals function, we are passing on the data, that is new PID, as an argument, but there is already auto ID equals to new PID. So this is an default argument, that is a basic functionality of Python, a property of Python. So it will be used later on. Now here comes the log vitals method, which will be used to store the log vitals for the patient. Here we can get or take the heart ratio, BP, SpO2 level, temperature, etc., and we'll add on these details in our database. The main thing is to note that in the argument we are passing a default argument, that is auto id, which is initially none for log vitals. But while we are calling it from the take detail step function, we are initializing it with a new pid. So why like this? So this is a basic functionality of the Python's default argument. So here, while a new patient is getting registered and a new PID is getting generated, then while we are logging the vitals for the newly generated patient, we will pass on the new PID. But if it is an existing user, then in that case we will not need to pass on the PID. We will scan the keyword and the PID will be auto generated or automatically passed on. In that case the auto id or the PID will be none. So that's the reason we are using here the default argument behavior of the Python. So while we are getting into the if block, there are only two cases: either the patient is getting generated newly or it is an existing user. But still, we will give it a check that in case the patient is not found, in that case we will ask for registration, and that's it. Now we are inside the add prescription method. So here first we will ask for the patient ID, and based on the patient ID we will get the patient record from our database. Now in case we found the patient records, in those that case we will add the patient prescription details in the database. In case the patient details is not found, we will show the error message. Now we are inside the pdf generator.py file, inside which we are using FPDF module to generate the PDF, to generate the bill automatically for the patient, for the particular patient. Now FPDF module I have already described previously. So it's the same, it's a kind of skeleton code, and also you can use AI or some any generic AI to generate this kind of pdf generator.py file according to your choice or according to your customizations actually. Now that's all about the basic code workthrough. Now let's see it in running. Now once we run the program, we will be presented with a menu. Then we are choosing the register new patient, and after that we are giving the contact number, full name and other details of the patient. So now the new patient has been registered successfully. Now we have to log the vitals of the patient, and you can see we do not have to give the patient ID manually. It will be automatically passed on from the newly created patient ID. So now at this point the patient has been registered successfully and we have already logged the vitals in our database. Now we will be presented with the menu once again, and we will choose the option 3, that is to add the prescription. So now the prescription data has been entered for the particular patient, and we can see that in the database. Once we run the select statement in our database, this is the patient data, this is the vitals log, and This is the prescription by all the doctor name. So if we run the main.py, it will first scan the QR code of the particular patient, and based on that will generate the PDF for that particular patient, which will consist all the details like the name, the patient details, the log details, vitals log details, and the prescription details. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you for your time and have a great day ahead. Thank you.